Hey there students, we're coming at you directly from my kitchen countertop. Yep, it's Mr. Nelson, we're back at it. And what we're going to look at today, guys, is our note names. You know, oftentimes this can be a topic that just kind of we don't even think about. Sometimes we don't think about what the names of our notes are. We just know that this note is the one that sits on this line or the one that sits on this space, and we play it here and we just kind of move on, but we don't really often think about what is the name of that note. At least you should. You should always think about the name of your notes. So what I've laid out here is a graph. Now if you want to pause this and memorize this, go for it. But this graph is going to help us out a lot, and it's going to help us with our note names. Let's kind of do a quick thing. With music, now we're going to start with this. With music, everything is very simple with the alphabet. We like to keep it simple as musicians. We only have, in our music alphabet, we only have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now once that G is over, guess what? Then we start back over on A, then B, then C, then D. And basically the process starts back over again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I explained that on one of my other videos called the paper piano. And the paper piano activity explains that even further and explains the notes that are in between, like for example D and E, or between C and D. There are inharmonic equivalents that are in between that. But that lesson, the paper piano lesson that I have posted will explain that in further detail. But for this one, we're going to stick with A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and where they appear on the music staff. So this is the staff, guys. We call this the staff. The staff is the 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Music notation is written on 5 lines. If you look at something that has 6 lines, that might be for a guitar player. That might be guitar tab. If it's something that has 4 lines, that might be for an ukulele player or a bass player. If it's something that has 5 lines, that might be for a banjo player. If it has anything, 5 lines and it has numbers, okay? But for these 5 lines, it's always going to have dots or notation, rhythm, little things that we've been working on. So just make sure you're aware that the music staff is 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a couple things. If you play a treble instrument, this is the clef you have. This is called the treble clef, and it's also called the G clef. And we'll talk about why it's called the G clef too. The treble clef applies to instruments like flute, for example, or trumpet, or clarinet. A lot of instruments, right? Clarinet, guitar, what else? Saxophone. The list kind of goes on. Violin. All those kinds of instruments will be written on treble clef. Because why? Because they are higher pitched instruments. Treble means high sounds, whereas the low sounds of something mean bass. This is a bass clef. If your music in the very beginning of when you're playing and your teacher hands you a page of music and you see this thing with 2 dots, that means you're a bass instrument. Now, not always, because like with baritones can read bass clef and they can read treble clef. Sometimes my baritone players will read treble clef, but they're still a bass instrument. So there's kind of a little bit of mix up there with that. Some instruments read more than 1 clef comfortably, like a cello player. So it kind of just depends. But this is generally your lower instruments like bass guitar, tuba, trombone, things of that nature. And so guys, what I want you to do is make sure you know if you're looking at a treble or if you're looking at a bass. Okay, treble's for the higher instruments, bass for the low instruments. This is also called a G clef. This is also called an F clef. Why is this also called a G clef? Let's take a look at that. When you're looking at this, that little swirly part of a treble clef right there goes through what's called the G line. The G line is that line right there. That's the G line. And that's why we also call it the G clef. The F clef has these 2 dots, or the bass clef is also called the F clef. Those 2 dots surround what's called the F line. So that's kind of how we know that's the F clef. That's why it's called the F clef, because it's also surrounded by the F line. So that kind of will help you out. Now guys, let's talk about our music alphabet. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you're wondering what that sound is, that is my beautiful chubby kitty named Oliver. He's probably going to be meowing a lot in the background. He just said hi to everybody. Say hi, Bubbles. Yeah, it's his treat time. So you'll probably hear him back there. But let's get back to this. Okay, so notes on the space, okay, for treble clef first. How do you know the names of the notes when the notes are written on the space? Well, it's very easy. Let's go. The bottom space is F, then A, then C on the third one, E on the fourth one. What does F-A-C-E spell? Face. And they're all sitting in a space. So we say face is in the space. Now these ones don't have a fun word right here. This is your E line, your G line, your B line, your D line, your F line. So you can't, egabadif is not really a word, but we kind of say every good boy does fine, or every good burger deserves fries. You know, you can kind of do that however you want. Now this is another way you guys can do this. Say you know one note really well, like let's say the B. I always tell students, if you can't memorize all your notes, find the B, because the B is in the middle line here. And I always say B is in between the lines. So B is placed in between all the lines for the treble clef. So if you go up one from B, what's the next letter in the alphabet? A, B, C, oh, C. If you go up one from C, the next letter up is D. The next letter up is E. The next letter up is F. So we went B, C, D, E, F. If you can't remember your alphabet, we have B, C, D, E, F. So it just jumps right up. It goes up. Space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line. It'll just walk itself up. But now if you go downward, you go backwards in the alphabet. Like what letter comes before B? A. What letter comes before A? G. What letter comes before G? F. And then E. So if I go backwards from B, let's go backwards from B. We went B, A, G, F, E. Hi, Oliver. So that's kind of that kind of gives you an idea. So you can remember faces in the space. Every good boy does fine. Egabadef. Or you can just kind of go A, B, C, D, E, F. If we had another note up here that came after F, what do you guys think it would be? You got it yet? It would be that G that you see right there. It'd be that G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now guys, what I did here is I wrote this and I just kind of put this all the way up, okay? So you can kind of see. Here's a C. That's where C is positioned. You can kind of walk backwards. G, A, G, F, E, D, C. Let's walk up the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, so we kind of start walking up higher. If you're a flute player, you're kind of familiar that your notes, generally for flutes, your notes can get pretty high up there. They can kind of keep traveling. The next note for that would be a C. Then the next note would be a D. Then the next note would just kind of be an E. It would kind of keep moving its way on up. Okay, so it's very important that you know how that works. A, B, C, it's just really all by alphabet. If it goes up, the alphabet goes up. If it goes down, the alphabet's backwards. If it goes up, the alphabet's forward. If it goes back, the alphabet's back. Down, the alphabet's backwards. Now here's bass clef, okay? That's treble clef. Bass clef, the notes are different, okay? So what was a C here is now an E here. But luckily, guys, this really isn't too hard to remember, okay? Fortunate for me, I learned on bass clef. I played trombone in the 6th grade, and then later in college I learned treble when I learned how to read guitar notes for classical guitar. So I kind of got the best of both worlds. if you're a piano player, you kind of get the best of both worlds too. So I would challenge yourself in your lifetime to learn a treble instrument and a bass instrument so you get this down really good. But it's not too bad. This E, if you moved it down one space, boom. Now that's where it's positioned. This C in treble, if you move it down one space, boom, that's where it's positioned. This A, if you moved it down one space, boom, that's where it's positioned. If I had a note that was right here under that bottom line, it would be, boom, F. And look at that, it's an F. That's where it would be. Now you can kind of go about A, C, E, G. One of the popular things I was always told was all cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. Pretty easy way to remember it. Or Ace G. Now with this one right here though, is going to be from bottom up to top. This is different, okay? G, B, D, F, A. There's really not a great, word, gabadifa. There's really not a great word, so you're going to have to put another sentence to that. Good boys do fine always. That's what I was taught. Good boys do fine always. All cows eat grass. There's your bass clef notes. And if you have notes that go higher, you just have to count up the alphabet. If that's an A, what would be the next note up? A, it would be a B, okay? And if you want to go lower, say you're a tuba player and you're playing way down here in the troll world down there, well, you're going to have to count backwards in your notes. So there's a G, there's an F, there's an E, like counting backwards, G, F, E. If you're going up on your notes, you count forward. If you're going down in your notes, you count backwards. So here's all the notes for bass clef, okay? And there's more too. It can go up, it can go really, really, really low too, definitely for tuba players and bass guitar players. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And eventually, once you pass that C, then you start going higher and higher, and your instrument will start sounding like a treble instrument. But anyways, guys, this is kind of I'm going to go ahead and erase that, because this is the general diagram I want you to work with. Now, before I move on real quick, I have students that get mixed up with things like this: sharp, flat, natural. A sharp, guys, looks like a number sign or a hashtag. The flat looks like a little B, and the natural sign looks like kind of like a square B. Kind of looks like that one combined with that one. The natural just means that you play the regular note. All these right here, these are all regular, okay? Now, say you are I don't know, I'm gonna say flute player, and you have that sitting in the beginning of your song. That's in your key signature. This is your key signature. That little B is gonna sit on what line? What other note sits on that line? Oh, what do you know? A B. A B and a B. So that would mean, guys, that every B that you would play would not just be regular B, but it would be the note that's in between A and B. It would be a B flat. And that would mean that would be a B flat, but that would also mean your high ones are B flats too, okay? Even if you could play a really low one, it'd also be a B flat. Say you now had, this is a popular key signature for band instruments, but say you had B flat and E flat. Oh, guess what, guys? Now all your E's are gonna be flat, as well as your B's. So the whole thing, I almost messed up. So there would be an E flat too. So that would mean all of the B's and E's in that would be flat. Say you're like a sax player and you don't have that and you don't have that. Say you just have a sharp right there. That sharp is sitting on this line. What note is also on that line? Bam, F. So that's gonna mean that all your F's, if you're a sax player, you're gonna be using that middle finger on your right hand, that all your F's are gonna be F sharp. Okay, just like that one right there. It's going to be F sharp. That F would be sharp as well as your high ones. Let's do some treble. Let's do some bass stuff. Bass. So you had a B flat right there. I'm sorry, I already gave out the answer. Oops. So you had a little B right there on that line. That second line followed over. That means that all your B's are going to be flat. Okay. And if you played this all those notes up, you would play a B flat there and a B flat there. Say you had not only a little flat written there, but you also had a little flat written here. Okay, now that means we're also going to play all of your E's are going to be flat. Okay, and it just kind of continues on and on and on. So it's very important, like that right there would be an E, that would also be flat. So guys, it's very important that you not only know your note names, but you also know if they are being changed in the beginning of the song. What you will see in the beginning of every song, guys, is you will see your clef. Could be a treble. Sorry, that's an ugly looking treble. It could be bass. Then you will have your key signature. Then you will have your time signature. Your time signature will tell you if it's 2/4, 4/4, 3/4, you know, whatever, 2/4, 4/4, 3/4. But then this right here is what will tell you is going to be flattened or sharp. And like sometimes if you're a trumpet player, you won't even have anything in your key signature. So let's take a look over here, guys. My assignment to you guys right now is to pause this. So go ahead and hit pause right now. Boom. Okay, and when you pause this, I want you to figure out all these note names for treble clef and for bass clef, and what words does each measure here spell, okay? Now you can pause it and figure it out, okay? Now when you come back, this is what we should have, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and fill these in because I don't want to make this video too long, but that's a C in treble clef, A, B, B, A, G, E. C, A, B, B, A, G, E. If you find that up here, C, A, B, B, A, G, E. It spells cabbage. This one right here would be D, A, D. It spells dad. D, A, D. D, A, D. Now I'm not going to give that one away. You guys can write that answer down in the comments. How about that? All right, bass clef. I'll do the first one. You guys can leave me the answer for the second one in the comments. How about that? So you have that note, those right there. That's going to be C, A, G, E. C, A, G, E. C, A, G, E. What does that spell? Cage. All right. So you guys, your assignment is this. Figure out what that word is in treble clef. Figure out what that word is in bass clef. And then what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to make up 8 words by yourself. Make up 8 words using only those letters. And I want you to put 4 of those words on treble clef and put 4 of those words on bass clef. And I'll get back to you after that. Sounds good, guys. Keep working. Bye-bye.